What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. My name is Joe Nissim. With me is Mr. Raman Singh. Raman, happy Friday. How are you?
Happy Friday, Joe. I'm good, man. I think I don't know. I think I'm gonna take the wife out to dinner tonight because I don't know. She doesn't want to probably go, but I'm like, hey, let's go. Like, I gotta get the hell out of the house.
It's Knicks game six, baby. That's the only thing that matters in my house
Oh,
tonight.
okay.
Uh,
Damn. Well, good luck with that, man.
well, they better. We need to pull it out tonight. Knicks got to
Okay.
pull it out. They got to. They can't break our hearts again. They can't get us all excited that they're going to win the series and then break our hearts again.
So
Every
I
every
don't I
every New
don't personally
Yorker's.
follow basketball as much as I would like to, the NBA. Who are they playing? I'm actually curious.
They're playing the Celtics.
Okay. Okay. Damn. Okay.
And they're winning the series, which was like the Knicks were supposed to get out of the first round, and even a lot of people were like, "Oh, they're gonna get tossed out of the playoffs in the first round," and they win, and then they go to the second round, and then they jump to a 2-0 series lead, which was like Boston won the championship last year, and their payroll for this team is over $500 million.
Oh my God. So are you saying like the Celtics are like the Kansas City Chiefs basically in the NFL?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Or like or how the Patriots used to be before.
Yeah, it's a very, and especially because they're the same area, they're like
And would you say Knicks are more like the Eagles or the Niners where they're kind of like they're not like the best but they'll end up winning but they have to kind of or are they
or
more
the
like
Giants or the
the
Giants
Giants?
of New
Damn.
York.
Dude, man, that's oh
Don't
my
ever
God.
compare us to
I mean the last time the
Philly.
Giants were in the Super Bowl,
Philly? Oh God, come
yeah, the
on now.
Giants last time were in the Super Bowl. I think I was like 15 years old or 14 years
How
old,
dare
maybe.
you?
Like
It
something.
was that. How dare you? You're not that young.
You're
They were in
right.
the. They were there in
But that was like almost 20
2007.
years ago, man. I feel like it was like almost 20 years ago.
And 2007 was last year, so
Oh, yeah, of course.
yeah, still 27. So it's good.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. Well, Joe, speaking of NBA and NFL, let's talk about something that I feel like could help CFP students
Yeah,
rejuvenate and motivate themselves and kind of bring that that clarity in their mindset
yeah.
when it comes to studying for the exam.
Well, I think the best kept secret of studying for this exam is having a study partner or a little study group.
Hmm.
And so when I was designing this course for CFP, I I was kind of I kind of hit this ceiling with my tutoring where like I was like, I am a really good tutor. Like I feel like that I'm getting a lot of people across the hump. They're passing, but I didn't necessarily have a strict process that they can follow. So I started chatting with some people in academics who work at the LA School District and places like UCLA and USC, and started getting their input on how to build an actual classroom process.
Hmm.
And one of the things that they emphasized over and over again was as humans, we learn in groups. Like we love group stuff. We love group classes. We love group hangouts. We like doing, we do everything in groups. It's just the way we naturally are. Even the evolution of humans is we grew up in tribes or communities. Like it's nice to be in a community where you know your neighbors, and it's just the way that our brains have evolved is that we typically love groups. And CFP can be a very lonely process.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
And it's very easy to kind of talk yourself into, I'm feeling like crap. I don't want to do this today. And I think truly the difference between somebody who passes this exam and fails this exam is not necessarily because you don't know the material. Or maybe it's because like you didn't, or because you're not smart enough to pass this exam, which a lot of people will say, I'm not smart enough. I'm not. But the real thing is that the exam requires discipline and accountability.
Right.
And, one of the things that one of our students said on our previous episode who came back, they were like, the reason that I loved class was because of accountability.
Hmm.
it forced me to study all the time.
Yeah.
I couldn't take the night off because there was always going to be a class where I had to be prepared and be ready to share. And it was part of the design of the class is that it's done that way on purpose because I know and you know that if I'm given 3 days to do something, I'm going to do it the morning of.
Right.
Right. So if I have
Yeah.
something to do on Thursday, and it's assigned to me on Sunday, I'm not going to do anything on Monday and Tuesday. And then maybe I'll dabble in it on Wednesday. But really, I'm working on it furiously on Thursday morning. Oh my God, I should have started doing this on Monday.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot with students in one on ones, where if I saw a student on a once a week and I would assign them some work, if I saw them on a Wednesday, they would typically do the work for class the following Tuesday. So now we lose 5 days of what you just learned in class. And again, it's not because, and if I say to you, hey, you need to put in a couple of hours to work on this, you can't just put it all in one day.
Right.
And that's the beauty of a study partner, in my opinion, is it's that constant repetition, somebody who's going to hold you accountable. I know when I study with a partner, the one thing that I'm paranoid about is I don't want to look dumb in front of my study partner. So I'm going to study.
Yeah, no, I think you bring a great point. I think the study partner component does become a game changer. Now, obviously, like finding a right study partner is the key, right? So, because I mean, there's few things you got to consider. So, what would you say some of the things that if I'm a CFP student and I'm studying for the CFP exam, like how do I identify my like a study partner? Like what should I be focusing on if I'm looking for a study partner?
I think there's two main things. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I want somebody who learns the same way. And you don't. You want somebody who learns in a different way because they're going to point out things in a different way, and that's the
Mm,
whole beauty of it, right?
yeah,
We want a little yin and yang that's going on. Like
yeah,
I had a study partner for CFA that we learned completely differently, just completely differently, and it was because he was so incredibly sharp on certain details, but sometimes he would miss big picture stuff. And I was so good with the big picture stuff, but sometimes I wasn't so good with the details that
right.
our styles completely complemented each other. So, one, don't go out there and look for a particular learning style and go because you learn a different way than I learn, then that we're not going to work well together. Most often, you want somebody that is going to learn differently than you because they're just going to think about something completely different. You're going, holy crap, would have never even thought about it that way. What a great perspective,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so that's one thing. The second thing that I would say is you want somebody who is disciplined,
Agreed.
meaning
Agreed.
that they're not
100%.
gonna they're not gonna let you off the hook because you're the easiest person to convince that you're tired. You don't want to be there. And sometimes throughout this process, actually a lot of time throughout this process, you got to do things you don't want to do.
Yeah. Hey, if you end up pairing yourself up with somebody who's just kind of like half-assing studying for the exam, trust me, you don't want to work with that person
That's
because
right.
they're gonna crab bucket you and you're gonna end up getting the results that you weren't expecting to because
That-
you're probably putting in a lot more
That's right.
time than this person is.
Yeah, and I would say if you're working with somebody casual, you're going to get casual results.
Yeah,
If
100%.
you're working with somebody serious who like if you have a and you're supposed to study at 7 o'clock and you roll up at 8 o'clock, then they're sitting there and they're pissed. Like what the F? Like you were supposed to be here an hour
Right.
ago. Like that's the person you want to study with. You do
Yeah.
not want to avoid that person. Yes, it is not nice to hear that you might be the person that's slacking, but you need that kick in the butt because that hour that you're like, well, it's just an hour. It's not just an hour. What you're doing is you're setting up a precedent for the way that you're studying
Yeah.
because you
And
miss an hour here,
if
you
you
miss an hour
find
there.
yourself a partner like that, good for you. Because guess what? If somebody showed up late twice on my study group with me, or if they say like you want to study, I would say, dude, like you're not serious about this. I'm moving on, and I'm gonna find the person who's serious about it at that
That's
point.
right. As you should. Like, and don't like remember that you're trying to take the most elite exam in financial
That's
planning.
planning. Yeah.
So if you go at it casually, you're going to end up taking this exam 2 or 3 times. And that's what a lot of us do. We kind of go, this is not that deep. It's like the Series 7, but a little, it is not like the Series 7. If you're going to do it, I encourage you to do it and find somebody else who's just as serious or even more of a hard ass than you are.
Yep.
Because the hardest part of this process, the hardest part of studying ramen is studying.
It's no kidding. No
Right.
way.
Like, wait, I got to study again on Tuesday?
So,
Yep. And then you
so
can study on Wednesday? Yep.
Joe, you brought a really good point with what you just said. You said the hardest part of studying is actually studying. So let's just say I find myself a great, partner, and this person's like studying, like serious about studying. What are some key pointers can you give the audience about how they should be studying?
Meaning what? Like, what am I
Like,
doing to
like
sit
should they be
down?
like okay, like should they like hold each other? You mentioned something about accountability. Should they build like some sort of plan with each other, or should they like quiz each other, or should they like help each other solve problems? Something along those lines, like some type of pointers basically for them.
Yeah, I'll give you two. One, talk everything out
Okay.
because knowing why is more important than knowing what.
Oh, wow. Okay. Knowing
Okay.
why is more important than knowing what. Love it.
Yep.
Love it. What
Because
else?
any of us can go and we can kind of finagle our way to B is the answer. That's the what. But if I don't know why I'm answering B, I can't repeat it.
Right.
Right. And so if you're just building a whole bunch of practice questions that you can't really repeat in the future, what are we doing here?
Right.
Right.
100%.
But two, what I would say is, what did I say? I just now I've lost my train of thought. Damn it. I hate when that
You
happens.
said knowing the why over the what, right?
Yeah. So
So why, yeah, the
talking it
why
out.
over the what.
Okay. Oh, talking it out. And then the second thing is quiz each other.
Quiz. Okay, nice. Yeah, like
Okay.
just verbally quiz each other. Like, hey Joe, okay, like tell me about. Okay, I know we studied disability. We were supposed to study disability benefits. All right, what do we know about non-cancelable provision?
Yep. And
Tell me the
literally,
difference between non-cancelable versus guaranteed renewable.
right. You can do it that way. Honestly, the thing that I used to do is flashcards.
Yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah.
holding the
Like quiz each other
flashcards
with
in my
flashcards, right?
yeah,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
holding the flashcard in my hand and I'm just going, what is blah blah blah? And I'm flipping and I'm looking at it. And that kind of ensures that you're doing it, but they're doing it too.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, Joe. Like, so, during our class, right? So, when we kind of go around and we talk to our students, and we'll have like these students in the classroom and they're solving these problems with each other, how we pair them up. And then they'll say, "Hey, Raman, I have a question for you." Like, John is thinking about this question in this way. I'm thinking about this question in this way. What are your thoughts? So, when they explain it to me, I know who's doing it right and who's kind of off. Then I'll say, "Hey, John, why don't you explain what your rationale is to this person?" And then they'll start like, explaining stuff to each other. So, and students love that because this person is feeling more motivated because if I picked on this person saying, "Hey, explain why you got this answer," this person's probably already thinking like, "Holy shit, like I know I think this so I did it right."
Yeah.
But I'm not indirectly saying, "Oh, you were right, but you were wrong."
Right.
Right? And then the other person, I'm like, "Hey, do you see what he said there?" "Oh, yeah, I noticed that." So I get them to explain stuff to each other and while they're attacking the problem,
Yep.
basically, right? So it's just funny how you said that, like knowing the why over the what, and then quizzing each other, explaining stuff to each other why they believe this works, basically.
And I like that explaining things to each other because I think it does two things. One, it actually makes me talk about it.
Yep.
Right. And the more that I can talk about it, the better off I am. But more importantly, it's helps you get rid of the junk
Yes.
because and there's just no way to do it until you talk about it. Like you're gonna have all these kind of floating things and a lot of times I'll use this analogy. It's like if your understanding of a topic is like your junk drawer, then we need to reorganize.
Yeah.
Right? Like if there's
100%.
matches here and chop and a menu here and chopsticks here and matches and string and a phone charger and it's like if I open the drawer, it's like right, like how can anybody know where anything is if it's just all over the place? I'm just throwing a bunch of stuff in my brain on that topic. Well, a lot of times talking it out will go, oh, wait a second. I kind of read that one time and it kind of stuck in my brain, but I really wasn't sure why. And now I'm starting to get rid of stuff because the more clear you are on a topic, the more you know it, and the more that you're not going to get shook on a multiple choice because a answer choice looks very compelling and well written.
Right.
It's easy to get confused when you don't know something. And it's like, again, and you know this when you're talking to somebody and they're passionate and they're right and they tell you this whole thing. And then there's always that one guy sitting there, bullshit. That's just flat out wrong. That's not true. And you're like, how do you know that? Because I know what I'm talking about. And that person is very good at selling it, but doesn't actually really know what they're talking about.
Right.
And you want to be that person who's sitting in the back going, bullshit.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Because I know this. Like I've studied it and I know it. And I think, again, the more clear you are, the more you talk about it, the more junk you're going to get out of your brain.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
It's
And I
like
think you bring,
phoning a friend,
yeah.
when you're trying to figure something out. You're like, I just need to say it out loud.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you bring up a really good point with what you just said was, if you're in that group and somebody's explaining stuff, make sure like, if you're joining one of these, these group studying or a bunch of people got together, start studying for the CFP, make sure you go in and actually like know your stuff and you're studying this stuff and not just going there to shooting the shit, right?
Yeah.
I'm not if I'm in a group room, if I four of us got together and want to study for the exam, I'm not trying to be friends with you. Sure, that'll come eventually, but we're here to study.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of these groups, they're unsupervised. They don't really know, how to like build a structure around it. So they all just get together and they'll meet like twice or three times. They're like, yeah, like that didn't work for me. It's because they weren't really doing what they should have been doing,
Yeah,
basically.
and that's a great point. Or one person is doing a majority of the work and everybody else is just standing around and watching. And we don't want that either. So I think there's absolutely a very, very good point there that like it's an easy thing that you can kind of get yourself roped into where we just it's fun, we're gonna bitch and moan about the exam and we'll go from there. But I think that's a really important point.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic.
And I
Well,
think that's a
anything else
great
you want to add on, Joe, with today's topic?
no, go get yourself a study partner. That's it.
Yeah, let's go.
So with that being said, everybody, we hope you enjoyed the episode. As always, please make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so we can continue bringing you content just like this. And we will see you on our next episode. Take it easy.